Figaro.
Who's asking?
I am.
Yeah? And who are you? I ain't Daguerre, alright? You got the wrong guy.
I don't think so.
You know what I think?
I don't care.
I think you should die!
Always the same.
Hello and welcome to How to Be a Great GM presents the Training Grounds. My name is Guy and tonight we're going to be meeting a new GM and players as the GM takes us through another exciting adventure in the hopes of scoring well on the score sheet or improving an existing score. What am I talking about? Well, each of the GMs that are participating in Training Grounds have been given a predefined scenario that they will be required to run through the players tonight. The players are randomly drawn from those who volunteered to play in the game, as well as myself. And after 90 minutes of playing in the GM's world, the players and myself will get to score the GM based on certain criterion. The criterion I'm talking about is this. This is the scorecard that the GM will be aiming to try and hit the marks on. Now, bear in mind, the GM does not want to get the highest mark because that gives them no room for improvement or for betterment. This is not a competition about who is the best GM. This is a competition about oneself and improving on one's own abilities. Now, you can see we've got various categories there. We've got the rules. How are they applied? Are they applied correctly or at least appropriately? There's story categories. What's the tone or the pacing like? There are NPCs, critical elements of the game, of course. There's style, and then, of course, table management itself. So what will happen is each of the players and myself will give the GM a score out of 5, meaning that there will be a total of 25 points that they can score per item. And at the end of it, I will present the scorecard back to the GM and to you, the viewers, and take them through some of the salient points, areas that can be worked upon and improved upon for the following week. Of course, if this is the second week that they're participating, we will have that score sheet from last week. We will have a look at it and see where they should be aiming to improve. Now, at home, of course, you are watching this. You have that wonderful ability of not being completely ensconced within the game, not trying to play the game. So think kindly when you are judging these individuals and look at the scores and see how they would apply to yourself. At least that's part of the plan. But enough from me. Let's get on with the show and let's meet tonight's GM. Hello and welcome, and we are now live. I have a panel of players and a GM just ready to get going. I'm going to introduce you to them all shortly. Yes, thank you all for joining us this evening. Now, unfortunately, what my chat program thing is not showing me how many people are watching, but from the chat I can see that there are a lot of fantastic people out there, all looking for a good game. Now, just bear in mind, whilst watching the GM go and take us through the adventure, you are free to make comments on what you think the GM is doing correctly or incorrectly. I would urge you, however, if you disagree with the GM's choices, to list why you disagree and what you would do differently. That way we can all learn and understand each other, because I don't think there is any one way to GM a game, and we only understand when we start questioning. So just bear that in mind. And my microphone is low. That's maybe because I moved it out the way. How about that now? It's still low. There we go. How about that? Hello. Hello. Can everyone hear me? How are you all doing? Okay, good. So there we go. Yes, so bear that in mind as the show progresses. Now, I'm not going to delay any further. Let's introduce you to our wonderful players and to our GM, who is back for his second round. Spike, welcome back. And we forgot to do cameras. See, this is what happens when you are trying to find players and things. So we get to play camera roulette now. I'm going to move this down here because I need to move this over here. Yes, Elijah has all the power. Then we're going to put Spike here, and then this is so much fun. It really is. Then that's not right. That's got to go there. That's got to go there. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that what we said it was going to be? It is? Okay. Well, now, Spike, welcome to the show again.
Howdy.
Spike, do you remember your scores from last week?
Not specifically, but yes, I've had that in mind.
What scores are you thinking of trying to improve tonight? Or are you not trying to improve, trying to see if the formula works with a different bunch of players?
I'm definitely making changes, or I should say adjustments, to how I did things last time. So,
Okay.
I'm putting more trust in the players this time around. So we'll see how that pans out.
There we go. Absolutely. If you haven't seen the wonderful session that Spike ran for us, check it out on the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/how to be a great GM from last week, episode 5, I believe. And you can have a look at the shenanigans that we got up to there in this amazing city and all this world building. It was super, super, super cool. Right. We have new players joining us, some familiar faces, some new faces, which is always great to have it here on the channel. And so working our way around the table, I'm going to start with Elijah. Elijah, who are you playing and how are you doing?
My name is Tajo, and I am doing fantastic.
I like it. I like it. All right. So we have Tajo. Adam, you are playing Ishka.
Yeah, I'm playing Ishka Bloodslayer. This will be my first time playing with you guys. I'm very excited, and I'm doing just great.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. Laura, you're playing Binson. You were surprised by playing tonight, so you haven't really had a lot of experience with the characters. Are you looking forward to being on this side of the GM screen?
Yes, I am. It's a nice little change.
Lovely. And then Caleb, welcome to the show. You will be playing who?
I'm playing Sasa Drogoran, and I'm a fighter.
There we go. There we go. And I shall be playing Bracklor, for I am a god. Now, we are going to kick off shortly here. I am looking at the time. Spike, I have to say, the chat is rearing and ready to go. And there is a question about how do you get to play in the game? Well, before we start tonight's game, I will mention that if you join the Discord channel, and I will share that up with you right now, there is an opportunity which we had tried to circumvent, as a matter of fact. We thought we had everything planned out so nicely, but like any great campaign, the moment the game actually started, that's when everything just went south, I think. So I'm hoping that Laura, who is in chat, will be able to share the invite for the Discord server. Like, for example, this evening, we had players and backup players, and unfortunately they couldn't make it, so we were looking for players to jump in. Now, that means you could get to potentially play in the future. There's no guarantees, of course, and we do require that you have a strong internet connection.
Which Discord? Your Discord or the Training Grounds Discord?
Training Grounds Discord.
Oops, sorry. Okay,
that's all right.
Try that again.
No, I didn't mean you, Laura. I meant Lauren, and I said Laura.
Sorry,
I'm so sorry. You're a player now. You can't be the moderator and the player at the same time. I love the enthusiasm. Yeah. So it's an opportunity that may or may not occur in the future. So bear that in mind. Right, so on that note, I will say that Spike, it is over to you, sir. The table is yours.
Okay. So your group has been hired by or contracted by your patron, Viniaka, the host of Lords, to be the honor guard for a young dwarven woman, a half-blooded princess that needed escort to an island where a ritual is taking place. Your group had been offered a total of 750 gold pieces for completing this task, 250 up front, 500 upon completion. This is part of the coronation ceremony when a new Lord of Lords, the Italiantane, is declared among the dwarven Dowakamana peoples of the Kopamuni Islands. They're renowned, as most dwarves are, for their sailing skill and their workmanship with wood, and are highly regarded as some of the best sailors in the world. They're found in ports throughout the region there. But whenever one of their leaders dies, for the choosing of the successor, there's a ceremony that's performed at the island where they supposedly originally came from, the Isle of Papai Dawana, the Forge of the First Ones, the Dawana being the dwarven gods, supposedly where the dwarven people came from. And so all the heirs normally gather there, decide on who the new ruler shall be in part of a ritual that happens there, and then leave. In this case, you are escorting Mana, the daughter of one of the last king, Maui's consorts. She was from a small island, not from an elevated family, and so is not considered an actual successor or candidate for successor. But she is a blood relation to the last king, and so she needs to be there too. That's why she does not have a dwarven honor guard with her. But an old friend of her father's has hired your group to do so through Vinayaka. And so it was that you had all left on an outrigger boat with the young dwarven woman who seems to be in her early teens, if you're going to relate it to the more short-lived species, or in her, I guess, mid-70s for Tajo. And you have finally, after 2.5 days of travel with her and her handmaidens navigating, have made it to the Isle, the Forge of the First Ones. And so you are just now, with the smell of the sea in your nostrils and the splash of the waves misting all of your faces, pulling up to the shore of what looks to be a tropical volcanic island. The volcano does not seem to be active, though you can clearly see the slanted top where the caldera lies, and deep within supposedly lie the caverns where the Forge of the First One actually resides, or at least according to the myths of their people, which you have been hearing quite a bit about on this journey from the excitable young Mana, who's sees this as a great adventure and was excited to meet adventurers from all other parts of the world, and is really amazed at what's it like living on an island where you can't walk from end to end in a single day. So with that said, as your ship is pulling up to the beach and you are making ready to land, you can see the tree line is probably about 100 yards away, where it looks like dense jungle foliage. You do not see any other ships landing here, which is a little surprising, as there were supposed to be other everyone is showing up for this ritual. There should be at least 3 other retinues that are arriving on this same island, and you would expect to be able to see at least some of them. But how would you all like to proceed?
I am going to look to the captain of the ship and ask, is there any reason why not everyone has arrived yet? Or do you know anything, any trouble at sea or anything of the sort?
So Mana, the young half-blood princess that you're escorting, was actually the one who was piloting the ship most of the time.
Okay.
But, well, they could always be lost at sea. But it would be unusual. It's not typhoon season.
It
Perhaps
gets worse.
will... Yes, much worse. Will you...
Oh.
Well, anyway, perhaps you shall be the new leader if no one else arrives, correct?
Nix, you're going to tell me the sky is going to fall tomorrow.
Well, if that does happen, rest assured I have lots of advice in the art of nobility. Perhaps one day our kingdoms could grow close together.
Bracklor,
Maybe, but I don't think I'd want that responsibility anyway. I hope the others are okay.
Well, with such responsibilities also come many privileges and pleasures.
Bracklor tugs on Sasha's I suppose, boot, and looks up at Sasha with the lift me up, little innocent dragon face.
I reach my hand down and pick you up with one hand.
Thank you, Sasha. I have arrived. We may disembark.
I suppose it's not a bad idea. I mean, whether or not they arrive here, we're going to need to disembark and set up camp.
Oh, thank goodness. And Vincent just runs off the boat as fast as he can and kisses the ground when he gets there.
The gnomish people, on the other hand, are not known for their seamanship. So, Vincent, as you are doing so, I'd like you to give me a perception check.
Cool. No, this ground is the nicest thing I've seen in a very, very long time, and my stomach is still not feeling great. I got a 4.
Okay, well, your passive perception is an 11, and that is, of course, the floor that you can essentially get on most perception checks, barring an extenuating circumstance. So while you may have gotten a 4, and you are indeed quite distracted by emptying the contents of your stomach onto the beach you were standing on now and enjoying the fact that the ground is no longer moving, you do notice movement from the tree line as you see one, then a second, 2 figures break from the tree line, and they seem to be moving towards your group. Small figures, you'd say about definitely normal person size, not big person size like the rest of these folk.
Are they like sprinting at us or just walking over?
Company incoming! That way!
Okay, so taking a look there, Sasha, you can give me a perception check to see what you can see.
Also, I am curious, are they humanoid? They're human, or are they just human-sized?
They're humanoid. I didn't say they're human-sized. I said they're normal-sized for Vincent.
Oh, okay.
So looking more closely, you can see it appears to be a pair of bedraggled-looking goblins that have come stumbling out of the tree line there.
What is this?
Seem to be charging towards running towards your group. But you can all give me a perception check. Actually, no, sorry, insight check.
Ah, the porters have arrived to take our luggage. How quaint.
This is my kind of welcome. Brandishes
Exactly.
axe.
Then a natural 20 was for a 19.
Okay. So, Binson, as you are wiping your mouth and you're like trying to figure out you start going for your weapon, seeing this pair of goblins charging towards you all, you realize they don't seem to be focused on your group. They're looking back toward the tree line, and they are showing a number of small bleeding wounds. Even as you notice this, and are starting to realize that they do not seem to be charging towards you in an attack. One of the goblins, there's a sudden spurt of blood that comes from its throat as a small arrow seems to strike it there as it's looking back, and it crumples over. And then the other one is quickly overtaken by a small reptilian creature that comes running out and leaps onto its back with a pair of large hooked claws in the middle that sink into it. Riding on its back, you see a tiny woman with small, almost like gossamer wings, 4 of them that come out of her back. She's wearing an outfit that looks to be made out of small, crude hides and has what looks like bones of small creatures hanging from it. And her face is painted with a rust red color that's streaked across the lower half that looks like it's some kind of clay or perhaps dried blood. She's quickly flanked by 2 other small male figures with similar wings, though slightly larger than her, that also seem to be decked out in similar garb, that are wielding crude spears and bows and arrows. They quickly descend on the other goblin as it drops beneath their attacks and that of the pixie's mount. And as you all see this take place, they are not only assaulting the goblin, but you see them tearing away chunks of the goblin's flesh and eating it raw as they look up with their blood-covered maws and take notice of the rest of your group with a hungry look in their eyes.
Okay, is it the mounts or the riders that are eating the flesh?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm going to take this opportunity to cast Bless on Sasha, Benson, and Ishka.
I think we've arrived at the wrong island, perhaps. This is not what we were expecting. Mona, you can be crowned king or Thane later.
No one said anything about demon fairies. The demon fairies! And Benson looks for somewhere to hide. Like, anywhere, a rock, something he can hide behind.
Okay. I think now is an appropriate time to roll initiative.
Just out of curiosity, did I get my bless off, or is that part of the initiative?
I will give you the bless.
Okay. Oh, well, that's a good thing because y'all went at it for a while.
It's a D4, yes? Extra?
Yes, a D4 to. I'm checking the spell.
You get up to 3 people.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was Ishka, Benson, and Sasha.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Cool. I rolled a nat 20 on my initiative.
Nice.
Okay. So who has a 20 or higher? I know Sasha, right? You have a 20?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does anyone have a 15 or higher? Okay, it's gonna be one of those fights.
We will let them.
Okay,
go
10 or
first.
higher.
That
10,
would be
10.
Natural 10.
Okay, natural 10 for Ishka.
Bracklor
in
got
total.
13.
Okay, Bracklor's on 13. Then Benson and Tajo, what are you going on?
I got 9.
10.
Okay. Ishka, I'm scared. Top of the count is Sasha.
Okay, so how far away are we from the ship? All right, and is there any cover nearby?
There's not cover nearby, unless you want to hide behind part of the ship. It's a large outrigger ship. It's pulled up onto the shore at this point, partially onto the shore, partially beached. You've just gotten off, so you're right at the water line. It's probably going to take a double move to get within, like, say, melee range of the cannibalistic fae from where they came out of the tree line at this point.
Okay. Then I'm just gonna take Mona and just go like 30 feet back and just stand in front of her, my claymore armed.
I approve of you trying to save me, Sasha.
We're not all as strong as you.
Well, maybe they're here for you. That would be nice. Okay. So, Sasha, you have a readied attack then. Next are the sprites. One of them is going to keep feasting, but the other comes zipping towards you all with a hungry look on its face. And let's see, their fly is... So he is not able to get close enough to do a melee attack, but he does fire his small short bow at... I'm going to say... Sasha. And that is a 9 to hit, so he misses as the arrow falls short and into the sand in front of you. After that is the Deinonychus mount, which then comes rushing forward. It is not able to make it to you all this turn. It should be there next round, though, as it is making these strange, almost barking noises. It's really hard to describe. That seem to be a loud, almost like signal, but it is quite intimidating. Next up is Bracklor.
Sasha, I feel that we should be more present in the battle, lead by example and so forth. Look at Benson, already there and doing all of their thing. As you can see, though, that they are quite savagely difficult creatures, and they probably shouldn't get very close to us. So I am going to summon forth the powers of godhood that have been entreated unto me, for I am the nexus of the universe, and I shall hurl 3 orbs of power at the sprite that's starting to come forward towards us. So 3 magic missiles directly at it.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's within 120 feet, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
All right, perfect. So the first one
This is all 3 at the Deinonychus?
at the sprite.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, yeah, at the sprite. The you said one of the sprites was coming forward?
Yes.
Yes.
So, as the first one strikes the sprite,
Yes.
you can see the magical bolt of force actually seems to go straight through the creature, leaving a small bloody hole as it has a shocked look on its face and just falls into the sand.
I meant to do that. That is my awesome power. Yes, it is.
You can direct the other 2 bolts as
I
you would
will
like.
redirect them to the Deinonychus.
Okay.
The first one does 5 points of damage.
Okay.
And the second one does 5 maximum damage. Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
It reels
Nice.
backwards, and you can see the discoloration and some of the skin broken from where the bolts of force struck it on the hide on its torso. But the creature still seems hungry.
You will worship me.
Clearly, this must be some primitive precursor to the superior dragonborn.
Absolutely.
Ishka.
That is not anything for you to worry about, my dear, patting Mana on the head. This is more my speed. And I saunter towards the Deinonychus while brandishing the battle axe in both hands, and then start to snarl and take on my excited rage. And I go straight for an attack if I can get within range.
Yes, you will be able to, especially because of your barbarian speed, but it's kind of dodging back and forth.
19 to hit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And let's see. Let's see, that'll be 10 damage.
Oof. You open up a deep gash across the creature's flank. It's bleeding pretty badly. It's not enough to drop the creature, but it knocks it backwards as it kind of stumbles in the sand and then quickly scrambles back to its feet, limping to one side from the wound.
I tastelessly lick my lips.
Next up
That'll
is
be it.
Tajo.
Well, it seems you have not much left, young creature. I am going to cast Sacred Flame on the Dionysus. Oh, that's a god.
Okay. And it got a 13 on its dexterity saving throw.
That beats me. Well, it seems you will not die by me, but you will die soon. Guaranteed. I have foreseen it. My god has shown me.
It makes that kind of shrieking kind of honk that like raptors make towards you as it dodges out of the way of the small bead of radiant energy you sent toward it. Next up is Benson.
Okay, so now that Ishka's kind of on the battlefield, Benson can he get up to the same enemy that Ishka's attacking?
Yes.
Okay, so Benson will run forward alongside Ishka and just be like, "Oh, I'm glad you're here," and then stab.
I'm glad you're here.
Okay. Give me a roll to hit.
That would be a 12.
Oh,
What's
the
the D4?
Deinonychus just... Oh, that's right. Well, was Yeah, you put it on the 3 on Benson, Ishka, and Sasha. Okay.
Oh yeah, I got the D4 as well. Yeah, that's right. 12 plus 4, so that's 16.
Okay, that is enough to connect. As the Deinonychus tries to dodge out of the way, but you find a little bit of divine guidance as you adjust your swing.
That's 14 damage.
Oof. As your rapier, correct?
Yes, that stabby rapier.
Finds
In
its
the kneecap.
mark. Well, this thing's the same size. Like, it's at eye level with you.
Oh,
so.
in the eye.
Yeah. So in this case, you get it. It does that shrieking kind of honk at you, and as it does, you send it right up into the creature's palate through the brain pan, and it's just kind of hanging there on the end of your blade, twitching and limp before you slide it out.
He looks at Ishka and goes, I like it when you soften them up.
Beautiful kill. Absolutely wonderful.
Okay. And finally, the pixie lets out a shriek. She seems to be angry at what happened to her pet, and then she gives a whistle, and you see another Deinonychus come rushing out, taking its place behind her. But as she does, you see a cloud of sparkles forming around the pixie, and she seems to be chanting something in the Sylvan language of the Fae, and then seems to direct that swirl of glitter to surround the Deinonychus. And as it does so, you see its shape morph and twist in unnatural ways as it grows extra limbs and is transformed into a giant orange octopus with bluish purple rings patterned all over it that begins clambering down the beach towards you as she has polymorphed her pet.
She's using hedge magic. She must be destroyed. It is not worthy to be in my presence to use hedge magic. It's dirty.
Pathetic.
Just laugh maniacally. I have no idea what's going on.
My God has shown me that neither you or this foul creature are long for this world.
She yells something about the Tuatha De Danann, and that's about all you get. Next up is Sasha.
So since talking is a free action, I'm going to talk to Mona and say, Mona, what are these nuisances on your island? Is this a weird tradition?
Well, I mean, Fae are always a danger on any island.
What type of island did you grow up on?
Well, we have settlements on that island. This one's wild.
I'm going to look towards Bracklor. I'm going to put him on my shoulder and say, do you want me to chuck you over there?
I beg your pardon.
I'm just trying to help.
I shall be ridden. I shall ride you into battle. That is my proper place. Thank you very much.
Very well. You're coming with me then. I'm going to take my claymore and I'm just going to go bolting towards the octopus that just came.
Okay. So since you've not moved forward yet, you'd have to take a double move to get there. Unless, yeah.
Okay, then I'll just get as close as I can and then throw a javelin.
Okay. So
right.
That will be within short range for the javelin, so give me an attack roll.
All right. A 14 with modifier.
Oh, that
plus
will hit.
the...
Plus
okay.
a D4. I mean, you still hit, so.
Okay.
I believe that'll be a D6 plus strength, yes?
Strength is... looks like 8 damage.
Okay. It opens up a gash across the creature's bulbous head as it grazes it. Even though it looked like it was going to strike on point, you can see that the rubbery flesh and kind of amorphous body of the cephalopod is going to makes it very resistant to damage. It's pretty tough. Next up is the remaining sprite, who rushes forward to try and avenge its fallen comrade. Let's see. It's not going to... Actually, it can make it... it can make it to Bracklor in this case.
You dare touch me?
As it flies up, and at first, Sasha, you think it's coming for you, but the sprite is actually coming in with a small blade for Bracklor after it felled its companion. Ooh, it's a 17 to hit.
I'm wounded. We must withdraw from battle. I must recover. If I die, millions will lose their one true purpose.
You take 1 point of damage.
Oh, it cuts me to the quick.
Which is
wounded.
max.
It grows dark, Sasha. It's cold.
I can
Is
still
Bracklor
throw
going to
you.
be okay? Tajo, does he need help? Next up, as the sprite seems frustrated by this, but well, actually no, seems heartened by the grievous wound that is inflicted on you. You can see that you're clearly devastated and nearly fatally wounded by this. So he feels pretty confident. Next up, the octopus begins clambering across the beach, rushing forward. You've never seen anything like this. None of you are used to living by the sea. And you thought these creatures were supposed to be aquatic, though it appears they have the ability to hold their breath for up to an hour, according to their monster manual entry. And so it comes rushing at Sasha, or Ishka in this case, and makes an attack with its tentacles, getting a 12, which is not
Right on the money.
Oh. Begins grabbing a hold of you. You are raging, correct?
Correct.
Okay, good. So that is 4 points of damage after your resistance is applied.
Okay.
As the creature, and you find yourself grappled now as its massive tentacles are wrapped around you. This thing is heavy. It is, like, at its head from where it's on the ground, almost as tall as you are, Ishka. And you can feel that intense strength as it's pulling you toward its snapping beak at the center of the creature.
Slimy, but satisfying.
Bracklor.
If this is to be the greatest battle that the world has ever seen, then so be it. I was holding on to Sasha's hair like reins whilst she was running forward, but now my little wings beat upwards as I rise like the titan that I am and start to pull shreds of fire out of the air and then just throw a firebolt at this pixie sprite thing.
Okay. So you can make an attack roll with disadvantage because you are engaged with an enemy while making a ranged attack.
Yes. It is no consequence. My power is absolutely a 7 to my attack. It's not so good.
Oh,
That was a warning shot.
Well,
Back off. Back off, you sparkly little thing.
you could have had the hit, but you changed your mind at the last moment and realized it was best if it was not at the expense of a portion of Sasha's skull. So
My sacrifice.
she can make it up to you later. And next up is Ishka.
I press on the strange creature that I've never seen before, and just to get enough space to bring up the axe and just sort of try to saw right through it. So I'll make an attack roll.
Okay, it will be with a disadvantage because you are restrained by the octopus right now.
And plus a d4.
But plus a d4,
I
correct?
think I'm going to need that d4.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful. 15 total.
That hits.
Whew. Close one.
Yeah, it's not hard to hit. Not very dexterous on land.
11.
Ooh, a solid blow as you actually cut off one of its limbs, which kind of flops on the ground a bit, and then just kind of shrivels away into nothing, like literally disappears because of the polymorph magic fading from it.
Oh, I was hoping for a snack after.
Okay. And that included your extra rage damage?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
Okay. Next up is Tajo.
So there is 2 sprites and 1.
There is 1 sprite left
creature?
that is engaged
Okay.
with Bracklor. There is a giant octopus that is apparently trying to hug Ishka to death. And then about 30-ish feet behind them, closer to the tree line, is the feral pixie, which seems to be glittering and concentrating on the spell that she's cast on the Deinonychus to make it an octopus.
My god tells me that the creature I must hit is that one in the back. And I'm going to cast Guiding Bolt.
Ooh, okay.
That is a 16 to hit.
That is going to connect. The glimmering bolt of light fires like an arrow from Tajo as you see him actually go through the motion of drawing a bow, and a gleaming bow of silver moonlight, reminiscent of one of the elven deities, of course, forms for just a moment to fire the radiant bolt that then strikes the pixie for
10 points of damage.
So that's going to be 10 times her hit points.
Yes.
As
Annihilated.
she just kind of explodes in a cloud of glitter and sparkling silver light. And as she does so, Ishka, you find yourself freed as the octopus transforms back into the small Deinonychus that is hissing at you in front of where you are.
How confusing. She said happily.
Tajo, would you like to do anything else?
I will simply get closer to the group, so I am in range to heal anyone who needs it.
Okay. Vincent.
Vincent looks at Ishka and goes, I think you're enjoying that a little too much. And then stabs the dinosaur in front of him again. Now that it's no longer tentacles.
Would you like to move to flank with Ishka? So you can get advantage?
If I can get around, then yes.
Yes. Yeah, only leaving an opponent's reach provokes attack of opportunity unless they have something special, so it's very easy to reposition.
So that's a 23.
That'll definitely hit.
And then it's a D8. There's too many dice going on here. Nice. 10 stabby damage.
Okay, that's including your sneak attack?
Yes.
Okay. Another telling blow as you stab in and then wrench it out, and there's a arc of blood that flies with it as it barks at you and backs off into a defensive position. The pixie is dead. And that brings us back to Sasha.
All right, so what's left alive?
There is the one sprite left. And the
All right.
Deinonychus.
And the sprite should be like right next to me since it was attacking.
Yes.
All right, then I'm just gonna whip out my claymore and slam it into the ground.
Okay.
A 13.
Is that including your bless?
No. With bless, it is now a 16.
Okay, that will hit. As once again, you feel Tajo's guidance, a little bit of that elven grace washing over you as you literally just snap the sprite out of the air after you initially missed with the greatsword, and then you realize this is not the way to do it. And you just grab it and kind of squeeze until you feel a crunch and throw it at one of the rocks that's on the beach there, where it impacts and just falls limply down. And after that, the
Damn it,
Deinonychus...
Sasha, I had it right where I wanted it. I was about to expose it to my glory. But well done for destroying it nonetheless. It was bothersome.
I hope you can forgive me.
You know what
High value
happened?
bless.
You know what happened the last time you exposed your glory?
I thought we promised to never speak of that incident ever again.
Precisely.
Oh,
Listen
right.
to Tajo.
Sorry.
Tajo is wise.
The Deinonychus disengages and flees back into the forest. You guys seem to have cleared the landing ground. It was really scary. I'm so glad I had you all with me.
Now that is a welcome. I love this place.
I've heard about the feral fae before, but we don't have them on my island. I mean, that's why we live there, because there's not feral fae.
That makes sense.
I'm slightly confused, Mona. Is it traditional for those that are seeking to become enthroned to be attacked on the beach? Surely if they were expecting a delegation, they should have sent a group of individuals to patrol the area. This seems very irregular for an official function.
Well, it's not an inhabited island. It's sacred, so we don't. No one lives here anymore. We travel here to like a pilgrimage that we make when these events happen. So you always have to deal with the wilds there. That's why there's an honor guard for the others anyway. And I guess why I have all you. But it is unusual. I mean, you would think that usually because of all the commotion, any of the locals tend to stay away. But
There does not seem to be any commotion. Are you sure this is the correct island?
oh, I'm definitely certain. You can-
Where I come from, the welcome is even less friendly and much hotter.
I hope the Fae didn't get any of the others. I mean, they have like full like honor guards and dwarven, Marines and stuff. So I'm sure they would be okay, but still.
Do you
How
know
about we
where-
go to the meeting place, and then that way we could see some good loot. I'm sorry, good people.
Well, I mean, normally everyone makes the trip toward the forge, the base of the volcano, and that's where we would all meet up. But we could travel, I suppose, around the beach and see if anyone else has landed as well. The island's not that large, so.
The volcano sounds like home to me.
I am forced to agree with Ishka here. The volcano, if one arrives early, one can control the room and make sure that everyone recognizes who's the true authority, of course.
And if no one's there, then, well, we'll all be alone, won't we?
But still
There's
recognizing
an odd way to
greatness,
put
correct?
that.
Well, you all know so much about this stuff. This is. I mean, maybe one of you should be the successor.
Well, if you insist.
Aren't you already a god, Bracklor? Why do you need more people to rule under or over?
I am flattered that you recognize my correct status. However, earthly wants and desires, some form of actual identification and documentation is always useful. And if you happen to have the title of Thane underneath your belt, well, that goes a very long way, doesn't it? Nonetheless, we need to... Binson, have you stopped ejecting lunch?
Vincent looks up from the what's left of the goblins as he's been rifling through to see if they've got anything on them. What? Huh?
They do have some, mostly seashells, though there are a couple hunks of raw silver, just like small, almost like pebbles. And there's one, you think probably a fire ruby that was not even hewn out, just like a small piece of rock that has some ruby striation in it.
So they just look like possibly locals. They're not wearing armor as if they were a god of anybody or anything.
Right.
like
They're
that.
wearing loincloths, and very like the armor that they have is very simple, like cloth weave with some either pieces of bark or hide or bone woven into it.
Vincent wanders back over, like throwing his files up in the air as he comes back. Locals attacking locals, it seems.
There is a question for you, O great and mighty leader.
Hmm?
Do we skulk around on the beaches trying to find the rest of the potential landing parties who may or may not have gotten lost on this island? Or do we head directly towards the volcano and the forge of the first ones?
Bracklor is right to ask. After all, as one destined for nobility of some kind, it will fall upon you to make certain decisions. You should practice.
Is he asking me? I thought he was asking Benson. I'm not a noble. I mean,
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
no,
This
I barely knew my father. It was I mean, my mother said that he loved it, but we're not high-blooded. Everyone knows that Reha is the favored child, the favored successor, and
come on, you must have some small inkling of the power. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come. You must have come for a reason. Surely it wasn't just to lose.
no, I came because the ritual requires all those who are related by blood, all potential blood heirs. I'm just here to affirm whatever the rest decided, which everyone told me it was going to be Reha or maybe Mapu, or suppose Ulo, but I don't see any of them here.
Yes, this may be a first come, first serve service, so perhaps
I
we
say the
should
volcano.
go,
Yeah.
yes, to the location of one's acquired leadership.
Well, I mean, the way this works is, it's the forge it was made by the gods. It's an artifact, and we all have to be there to decide who the next successor, who the next ruler will be. If we're not, well, it hasn't happened. No one knows what happens if you don't do that. It's bad though. But then the forge makes the crown for the new Thane, and that way there's no fighting. It's a smooth transition of power, except, well, there's actually getting here and everything that happens beforehand, and that's why there's honor guards. But I'm just here to affirm whatever decision everyone else made.
I know you're trying to encourage us to do one thing, but you're very much encouraging me to want the opposite.
Let
I'm
me ask
encouraging
my
you?
God
Really?
Let me ask my God what future lies for us.
Well, what do you think, God? Looks at Bracklor.
Yes. I think we should get to this forge place first and just have a look and see. I mean, ritual is very important. I would be very curious to note what would happen if the heirs were to mysteriously suffer some sort of horrific accident and be reduced down to, say, one who would be willing to hand the crown over to someone who's destined and suited to rule. But that's just one conjecture, and considering that we do have multiple personages of nobility and right all here together, it might be beneficial to yes, just keep our eyes open, if you take my meaning. So Bracklor's going to fly behind Mona, and he's going to gesticulate that he's putting the crown on her head, and then he's going to put it onto his own head.
Well,
My God has told me that we are meant to impart knowledge unto you, young one. And that is the easiest way to do that is to continue forth.
okay, if you all think that's best. Well, I suppose that's why Auntie McCabe hired you all.
Yes, we were made for this.
I can always keep an eye out, for trouble or bodies on the way.
I will keep an eye out as well.
Okay. So it is, you can tell you're going to have quite a bit of a trek through the jungle to get to the base of the volcano here, while if it were a clear path, you could easily make it before nightfall. It's not going to be that quick a journey in this case. So you're going to have to start moving into the jungle, probably make camp tonight, and then get to the base of the volcano sometime the next morning would be your best guess. So who would like to take the lead? And that means making survival checks.
Vinayaka didn't say anything about sleeping out here. Does anyone have any experience with the great outdoors?
I have read of such things.
Does it count as indoors if there's a large ceiling overhead with stalactites?
Avernus does
think
not
that's a
count as...
cave.
Yes.
I
I don't know.
slept under a couple of hedges after one too many at the tavern, but that's about as close as I got.
Oh, Sasha, dear sweet Sasha, tell us that you have spent years as a mountaineer and know all about setting up a camp and fire and things.
Well, I have hidden from my fair few of paladins in the forest. However, I am no mighty explorer.
I think that qualifies you as the most qualified. So you shall decide where we shall set up camp.
Very well.
I
Okay.
shall help you with all the knowledge I have.
I think most of us always had people for that sort of thing.
Exactly. I still
I'll have
do.
hammocks. Mana says excitedly. She pulls a bunch
I like
of netting
hammocks.
from the ship.
Well, our future noble, hopefully, should, humble themselves and carry the hammocks for now. It is a good experience. Not you, Bracklor, don't worry.
I mean, I was going to carry him anyway, but okay.
Good, good.
So, Sasha, why don't you give me a survival check? You can have advantage because Tajo is helping you with the navigation there. The rest
Also,
of you
I'm
can
going
give...
to assume a minute has passed and
Yes,
Bless is over.
Bless is worn off.
Okay.
The rest of you can give me a perception check to see what you notice while you are in the jungles.
Do I
As you
get a
start-
perception check?
No,
I'm
because
helping
you're-
Sasha, right?
Right, you're helping Sasha
No,
get
okay.
advantage on the
Just
survival
making
check,
check. That makes sense.
so you don't get lost.
Come now, Tojo. Let's go explore some of these bushes. And I
Yes.
trek through, and I roll the 18.
Oh, fantastic. So you are actually making good time. This is unlike anything you've ever been in before, but at the same time, wood is wood, right? It's a lot wetter and more humid than you're used to, but you do find that just hacking your way through seems to work incredibly well. And luckily, having the volcano there gives you an easy guide to head towards. Though, of course, you're still going to have to find the entrance to this place at the base of the volcano. But still, you're able to get through a decent chunk of the jungle without getting lost, and you're fairly confident you'll be able to make it to the base where the entry can be found early the next morning. You also managed to find a decent camp spot. It's actually a clear glade area. It has a rocky outcropping, some old lava rock, but it's been smoothed over enough by wind and rain over the years that you can camp on top, but it gives you shelter from all the things crawling on the ground underneath. And while Mana did bring the hammocks with her, the other netting that she brought with her was some mosquito netting for you all, because there are plenty of bugs in all of this, and that is one thing you're all learning quite quickly. Ishka, they don't seem to be interested in you at all, but and the rest of you, they are quite interested in. Bracklor, thankfully, your hide is too thick for them to get through as well. But they still keep trying, and every time one lands on you, I mean, it's like having a mosquito that's the size of your arm land on top of you, so it's still not comforting. But you are all happy to finally settle down for the night and to light a fire. The jungle gets shockingly dark, while there is open sky where you are looking out. Once you are underneath, even during the day, it was almost pitch black. In some cases, those of you with dark vision were seeing that trigger multiple times while you're moving through the jungles and the thick canopy overhead. There's constant noise of animals, of creatures that you don't recognize, and it's hard to kind of get to sleep, but still, there's a certain peacefulness to all of it as well that you can that you feel as you're huddled around the fire on top of this rocky outcropping, and you can see the stars brighter than you've ever seen them and clearer than you've ever seen them before. Most of you are used to living in more civilized and settled areas, and without that light here, You can see the trails of stars that trace their paths across the sky like great currents.
I want to ask Mona just before we settle or sleep. How many of these enshrining rituals have you attended? Have you been here before?
This is the only one. My father, Maui, he was the last Taliantane, but he met my mother during some of his adventuring days, and so she was only ever able to be a consort to him. You know, I saw him a little bit when I was younger, and every once in a while, but I didn't get to know him. And like most rulers of the islands, they have multiple spouses with the different major houses, the different major tribes here, and he had to split their time between them. And that's why I could never be recognized, which is fine. My mother didn't want me in the center of all that, all the politics and everything. We just focused on living our lives, on sailing and fishing and maintaining our home. And this is all too big for me. I wanted excitement, but not this. I want to see where are you all from?
Well, from where I'm from, knowing your father isn't necessarily the most desirable thing. And for a moment, Ishka lets down sort of the act and sits next to Mana and says, your experiences are that of your peoples. That's a sort of perspective that is sometimes hard to see in our high places. And there's great value in that. So maybe it's not so bad.
Well, I don't think it's bad. I like my home. I like not being somebody, if that makes sense. Well, I mean, I hear about all this because everyone does, but it's too complicated. It's too big for me. I'm just a small girl from a small island.
And if you want to be a small girl from a small island, you don't have to be anything other than that. But some hard decisions may be coming very soon.
Well, my mother always said things like that can happen, but I hope not. I liked my siblings. I didn't know them well, but Reha was always nice to me, and she's the eldest child, the eldest daughter, so it makes sense, and everyone seems to like her. Mapu, he always loved to talk to me about all his study and the travel and all the different peoples he had learned about, and I never really knew Ulo, though. Well, let's say he's hot-headed. He spent time with mercenary companies and away from the islands, but he can't be all that bad.
Mona, a quick question, and I hope it's not too forward of me to ask, but are you currently betrothed?
What, me? I'm too young for that.
Yes, but it never helps to keep one's eye open. If you'll excuse me, Tajo, I need spiritual guidance.
Yes, Bracklor, I will give you spiritual guidance.
We're going to wander a little bit away from the camp until I'm a few steps from me, and then I get tired.
I will pick Bracklor up, and we will go about 100 feet from the group. Not too far, but far enough where I can see and keep an eye out.
There's your inn, boy. You should get in there.
Get in there? What does that mean?
She is a young half-elf. You are elvish, aren't you? Or close enough?
She is full-blooded dwarf.
I do not.
She's known as half-blooded because of only being half noble.
Well, dwarf, elf,
Should I I know of the future and of life, but I do not know of this. Should I go propose to her? What should I do?
Well,
I
one
have
would generally
something.
woo her, or perhaps you have to buy her. I don't know what they do with this particular culture. I'm sure we can find out. Nonetheless, it is an opportunity for you to get your foot in on the rank of nobility. It sounds to me like she has a very nice older sister who could possibly just suffer from a small accident. Then there's the learned scholar. We can buy him off with some sort of scholastic opportunity. And then there's the hothead, whom I'm sure Ishka or Sasha could provoke into combat and then cut their heads off. So the line to the throne is pretty clear, if you ask me. And if you were married to someone who didn't really want it, it would then be yours for the taking.
I will not deny your plan. It has some merit, but I seek the life of others. I do not want to hurt anyone. Perhaps there is a way to buy all of them off, but barring that, I do not want part of such plan. But I will ask for her hand in marriage. Give me one moment, and I will walk. I will walk up to her, and I have an amulet that weighs about 1 pound.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, Milady, this amulet represents my people, my heritage, and all of my knowledge. I would like to give it to you in exchange for your hand in marriage.
My what now? What?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you
Is
not?
this-
Oh, hang on. Give me one. Let me rephrase. I would like to give this to you for your affection and your future with me.
Is this Sasha? Is this an elven thing?
Oh wait, do you still not? Okay, hang on. Let me think. Dwarvish. Here, let me say it in Dwarvish. And in Dwarvish, I will say, "Will you marry me?"
So as you are getting those words out, the rest, all of you, suddenly hear a disturbance as you can hear movement through the jungle and the woods that's coming towards you at this point. And in fact, I'd like Sasha and Vincent and Ishka to give me a perception check. As you can see, Mana is wearing a very surprised expression on her face.
I am totally glued to the drama and the romance and the situation here. No idea what's happening behind me. I'm just ear to ear, toothy grin.
Vincent's just like, it's getting a little bit uncomfortable here. I'm going to go see what that is. Yeah, I rolled a 17.
Okay, so you can see torchlight actually moving through there as well, and you hear voices speaking in Dwarven, which you now recognize thanks to Tajo's proposal that was just given in Dwarven. And you see a group of Dwarven warriors, clearly more of the Dawaka Mauna people. They're wearing shark skin leather armor, carrying spears and harpoons, though they do have small curved axes with them as well. And with their long, wavy black hair flowing behind them, their matching beards in front of them as well, but braided in with shells and bits of bone, and into intricate knotted patterns, almost like woven sail patterns that go down their front. And you realize provide an extra layer of protection for them as well. They are led by a dour-looking dwarf who is clean-shaven, both his head and his face, though he seems to have black tattoos covering his head, a pattern that's not the normal ones for the islander dwarves of the Dawaka Mauna. They actually look more like some of the Carvadian tattoos that you find in the northern steppes among some of the dragonborn peoples and goblinoid tribes up there as well. Quickly becomes apparent from the warrior retinue and the garb worn by their leader there that this must be one of the other heirs. Definitely not Reha. You would guess Uolo, since this does not look like much of a scholar.
Oh, so you didn't get eaten then? That's good. You probably turned up at a good time, to be fair.
What you lot?
Oh, Vincent, we're here protecting Mana. Yes. And then he goes, I think she might need protecting.
And I say in Dwarvish, please, milady, please. Give me an answer. With the time I've spent with you on the journey here, your impressive seamanship, everything I have seen you do has wooed me, and I would like to do the same to you.
Can I flit behind Mona and lean in and whisper next to her ear as I'm just creating a little bit of a halo around Tajo using the light spell and lean in and say, "Go on and kiss the boy."
Okay. She is looking confused, and there's a lot of pressure. Uolo, it's... We were worried no one else had made it. Did you see the others? Did you see Reha or Mapu?
I just put a hand on Tajo's shoulder.
Doesn't look like they made it. We haven't seen any signs of the ships. We received a message through one of the flying messengers, and he points back, and you can see a flying monkey sitting on the shoulders, one of his men. We know that Mapu's ship went down, raided by sky pirates on the way here. Doesn't seem like it's something that Reha would try, but, I wouldn't put it past her. Desperate times and all that. Nothing's happened to Mona here? You lot were hired? What are you all doing?
That's right. Yes, and we had our own share of excitement upon arriving. We fought some fey cannibals riding dinosaurs.
Don't forget the octopus.
Oh, I'll never forget the octopus.
You really did enjoy that too much.
Oh, you ran into some of the fey.
One of those things we shall never speak about again. Quickly.
Do you have any left? And he points at the fire and then looks perplexed, not seeing anything roasting on it.
No, we did not think to eat them, but that would have been a good idea. We kind of disintegrated most of them. Yes, unfortunately, we kind of disintegrated most of them, so there was not much left to be eaten.
It's why you have to be precise if you want to have anything left to harvest.
Sage advice. Sage advice.
So you're her honor guard for this, I'm guessing.
Well,
probably best if we all stick together. There's more Fae out there, and there's also, the native fauna as well.
Yes.
Plenty of thunder lizards here. You haven't seen any of the fires. That's how we found you. We saw the smoke.
No, we have not seen any fire, to my knowledge. I was assisting my partner Sasha with cutting through the grass. I did not look around as we were walking.
I'm afraid we are novices when it comes to this terrain, and there's much we don't know. We would definitely benefit from your guidance.
That's true. It's good to see such wisdom in mainlanders, knowing your place. Well, we can get you taken care of. Don't worry about it. My men are quite experienced with all this, and you can see he's got about 24 of these shock troop marines with him. They all look to be combat veterans. You can see scars, and just from the stance, especially for those of you like Ishka and Sasha, you can see that these are experienced fighters. And not all of them are some of the Dawakamana dwarves. You see most of them look that there's a couple halflings, a gnome in there, a few humans, and even a half-elf as well. The honor guard is not entirely dwarven here, and it seems that some of Ulo's mercenary friends have stayed with him since his return to the islands.
I would question whose superiority is whose, considering that Mana here arrived with a small contingent of us. That is in number, not in capacity or capability, as opposed to, say, someone like yourself who arrives with a small army.
Well, I guess that just shows who the bigger target is.
Perhaps, or perhaps not. Mona, may I have a moment of your time? This is not to do with the matter previously, but I wanted to discuss something privately with you.
Yeah, sure. Ishka, could you come with me?
Of course.
I'm just gonna take her like basically the same distance as I took Bracklor the first time, and I just say, I deeply apologize for proposing briefly before you heard such tragic news. I hope you're doing all right.
Yes, I mean, I just hope that Mapu and Reha are okay. But we'll have to see. I don't know what that means for the ritual. I mean, if they're alive, they need to be here.
Yes, I guess we will see it briefly. Hopefully, our arrangement can change, but that can wait for now. I want you to be happy and grieve this moment. I'm sorry for your loss. And also, I want to give you a piece of advice. Watch out for your sibling. He seems quite dangerous.
Okay, I appreciate it, Tajo. And she kind of stands a little behind Ishka, like using her as a body shield. That's it, right?
I put my hand on her shoulder and trying to comfort her, and I get down a little bit to look at her closer to eye level, and I say, he's right, there's a lot of power to be changing hands here, and as a possibility there is opportunity, and there are innumerable dangers here. Anything could happen, and anything could be played off as an accident. And that is something that our good friend Tajo here is trying to warn you about. So we will do what we can to protect you, but keep your senses sharp and alert.
Okay, I'll do my best. I'll try to think about what you all would do. Or something else, maybe.
As Ishka has Muna's attention, I'm going to just take a quick look around to see if there are any eyes on our conversation.
Give me a perception check.
Oh, that is 15.
You don't think so. But of course, the dwarves are native to this terrain as well, so you might not be able to see them if they were listening in.
Vincent?
And then there's always Cannibal Faye.
Yeah. Can Vincent have a look at the entourage that this guy's with and see, like, are there any traces of blood? Do they look like they've been in a fight, or are they like, pristine, clean, kind of?
It does look like they've been in a fight. I'm not going to make you make a check for that because they're not trying to hide it. And asking around and just listening in, they ran into some of the Fae as well when they landed, but they quickly tore through them and had a nice meal, apparently.
Bracklor wants to try and find out as subtly as possible if this is Ulo's first passage through this ritual, this crowning.
Well, yeah. I mean, my father's been king was king as long as I was alive, or he was alive, and I was alive, and so this is the first time he's died, I guess. Is that normal in the mainlands? I've heard sometimes you lot have undead kings, so.
We have undead. Oh, I'm not there.
There are many great things about the mainland, but we're not here to talk about that. Your father, how did he die, if I might ask? We were otherwise indisposed.
Well, he was getting on in years, but it was one of his expeditions they went on to trying to find the northeastern passage. I heard it was a kraken. I wasn't there at the time. He and I had difficulties. But you know, I would like to think that we tried to work things out, and at least he didn't seem to be disappointed in me last time I saw him. But still.
And if your brother and sister don't arrive for this ritual, do you think that it will still go ahead, and the crown will be passed either to yourself or to your sister?
Well, I'm sure they'll be okay, but if it came to it, then I could assume the throne. It's, you know, I'm sure that Reha will make it. She's quite capable, so I'm not really concerned about that. I just want to get this over with, so that we can move on.
If you'll excuse me, I have someone to talk to. Sasha! I have a plan.
I go up to you and kind of like put my ear up to you.
Give me an insight check, Bracklor.
Oh. So that would be 17.
Okay. You definitely get the feeling that Uolo is trying to play it cool.
Oh, yeah.
There's a certain edge that he's trying to hold back. You can tell, though, like, he is excited about the idea of being able to be the successor, about being crowned the next Thane.
Absolutely. If Sasha and I get a moment apart from everybody else, then Bracklor will... You are of marriageable age, are you not?
Well...
You can bear children, can't you? Isn't that what you want?
Are you talking to me?
Well, there's no one else here. And I doubt that Ishka would marry below her station. For you, it would be an advancement in all different directions.
I do speak Dwarvish.
Even better! Look, if Tajo doesn't succeed with Mona, and if Mona doesn't take the throne, then this is a second best option. It's just a suggestion. I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm just saying you would be foolish not to necessarily pursue all options. Imagine being married to the Thane.
I'm gonna crack my hands and say, "It's seducing time."
It's
okay.
Time.
This happened to your game.
Yeah. Tajo, Ishka, and Benson. All of you, please give me a perception check.
Okay. This is a 17.
15.
17 for Benson. Yeah.
Okay, so all of you hear a strange noise. Oh, that's at first you don't notice it in the background of both like the milling about of the dwarves and mercenaries that are here, and just the sounds of the jungle that are omnipresent. Insects, animals, strange cries from birds and dinosaurs. But there's a that's getting louder, and it seems to be coming from above through the air. As you're trying to make out the noise and you're looking up, maybe it's a bird or something like that, you notice a black silhouette that's blocking out part of the stars. You can't see what it is clearly. It's almost like an ovoid shape, though it does seem to have wings, but the wings are not moving. The movement is not like that of a natural creature. As it's getting closer and then begins to swoop in, and you can see that there's a large... It almost looks like a cloud against the night sky at first, especially because of the silhouette, but you realize it's some kind of large balloon that is attached to a vessel that is underneath, as a sky ship is coming down from the night sky above. The rotors, the propellers that are driving it through the air, creating that noise that you were hearing. And as it gets closer, the whole jungle begins to sway from the force of the wind that's being pushed out by it. And you see large, dark shapes dropping down from above, coming from the ship.
Vincent's just like, incoming!
Sky
It jumps
pirates,
into a
sky
bush.
pirates. I am going to put myself between Mona and the sky pirates, if that's what they are, which I'm assuming, which Tajo is assuming they are.
Yes. So, as you go to protect Mana, you can see these drop troops come slamming down. They actually land on top of some of the honor guard, crushing some of the foliage around them. They look like massive dwarves. They have large, white, wispy beards and an almost silvery gray skin that makes them almost invisible in the night. They're decked out with sabers, and you can see crude firearms strapped to bandoliers on their chests, as well as the mist dwarves, who are known to reside in the pirate peaks quite far from here, have dropped in on one of their sky ship raids, something that's unheard of in your part of the world, let alone out here in the islands. Mist dwarves are so called because they live in the top of the pirate peaks in the cloud level that allows them to go out at day to avoid their sunlight sensitivity. And of course, because of their wispy beards and their ability to just disappear like mist. Though at night, they go out from their mountaintop sky docks on their sky ships to go raiding in the areas around them. But now you are dealing with some enlarged mist dwarf drop troops right here in front of you, who have immediately begun to lay into the honor guard that came with Ulo, and are a pair of them are turning to face all of you as well. I'm going to roll initiative, but we're just going to be handling people's actions here. So everyone roll initiative real quick right now. Just going to use this to determine the order.
You have 15 minutes left.
Oh, well, that's more time than I thought I had. Excellent.
17 for Vincent.
Okay, Benson's on the 17. Tajo, what are you going on?
That is a natural 20 for 22.
Okay, 22. Sasha?
13.
13. Bracklor?
Dirty 20.
Ooh, okay. And Ishka?
6.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you still beat the mist dwarves.
Wow.
It's the opposite kind of combat this time.
So, Tajo, you are up first. You have gone to protect Mana in the chaos that has erupted around you, as you cannot make out exactly how many of these Mist Dwarf drop troops have come in. You can see the ship is hovering above the clearing where you are all at now. They probably were drawn to the smoke from your camp, like like Uolo and his team were. But and you can hear sounds of crunching and cries of battle in the jungles, like beyond your line of sight as well. But there's two mainly that are facing off against you and your group and seem to be coming for either you or, more likely, Mana.
Just a quick check. How far is the drop ship that's above us? Like, how far is it from us now?
About 60 feet up in the air.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to simply Sacred Flame one of the assailants that are, one of the cloud or mist dwarves. And that's a dexterity saving throw.
Indeed. Ooh. And the mist dwarf makes it. As you can see, the sacred flame, it actually goes to impact. It's not even that the mist dwarf dodges, but it just seems to fizzle as it goes to connect with them. They are known for their natural magic resistance. They're not immune to magic. They just get advantage on saving throws.
Okay. I just say, Mona, make sure you stay behind me. I shall protect you.
Oh my goodness! What's happening? Okay, next up is Bracklor.
This is ruining my plans for taking control of this little kingdom. Very well.
I'm gonna land on Sasha's shoulder because I think the two of us were busy still chatting when this whole thing sort of happened. And I'm going to lean in. I bet you this is Mapu's doing. He's trying to eliminate his competition. Right. Let's get some light in here. And I'm going to throw a firebolt at the airship to try and see if that can distract them a little bit.
Okay. Give me an attack roll. I'm going to oppose this by their insight, like you're trying to deceive them.
Nice. I grand total of 19.
Okay. So while the firebolt, it's not going to damage the ship a lot, but you are able to actually catch some of the rigging on fire, and you can see this creates a lot of alarm on top of the ship as they get distracted with putting that out. Okay.
Yeah.
Benson. Benson, you are up next.
Okay. How many of these bad guys is there?
There are 2 in your immediate vicinity, though there are probably at least a half dozen more scattered throughout the darkness of the jungle around you, fighting with the other members of Wolo's honor guard.
Okay, well, Vincent is going to... I don't like this. He's going to run towards... No, he's not, actually. He's going to pull out a short bow. He's going to shoot the nearest dwarf, because they're big. They're even bigger than him.
Okay. Give me a roll to hit.
That's a 16.
That will hit on the dot.
4 damage.
4 damage? Okay.
Yeah.
He flinches, but it's a glancing blow. The arrow opens up a small cut across a cheek, but it's not enough to... Not a deep flesh wound or anything. Or I should say, it is a flesh wound. It is not a deep wound.
And then can Vincent try and try and hide or get into some cover or something? Because he's standing like in the campfire light, and he appreciates.
Yeah, so you can use your move action to move basically around or up to the side of essentially the rock outcropping that your camp is set up on. And
I'd like
then
to
you
get out
of
the campfire light.
Okay, so you can so you move into a place where you're out of sight and where you can hide. Okay, and why don't you make a stealth check for me?
No, that was the D10, not a D20. Well, that's an 18.
Okay. So you are quite hidden at this point. You have disappeared into the shadows, and you do not think the Durgar seem to be focused on you. So, next up is Uolo. And he... We have to protect Mona. And let's see, he actually makes an attack against one of the mist dwarves as you see a glimmering prismatic bolt of raw eldritch energy shoot out from his hand as he makes a quick gesture and seems to grasp one of the many small, we thought were tokens, that seem to be fetishes woven into his beard. And the Eldritch Blast strikes for... How much does his Eldritch Blast do? Ooh. He's up to 2d10.
Wow.
As it strikes the Mist Dwarf, and it staggers backwards, but it doesn't seem to be enough to have stopped it or bloodied it yet. And Uolo is, Mona, get behind me. We have to protect the girl. Next up is Sasha.
Bracklor, I need your help.
Name it. It is yours. I am the god that will grant all that is requested of me.
Very well. Taking me up there on the airship with your mighty wings.
I may be a god, but even certain things are beyond me. Ask something simpler. I can help you jump.
How are the assailants getting down to the ground? Like through a rope or something?
They seem to have a rope, but it's a short one, and they're just dropping off for that bottom part and seem to be enlarging as they come down to absorb the impact.
Would I be able to make it if I jump up and try to grab onto it?
No.
Bracklor, in order for this marriage plan to work, we need to get her. She needs to be alive in order for it to work. I say we grab her and run.
To the forge. I grab Sasha's hair. Giddy up.
I'm going to run forth towards Mona and try to grab her and take her away.
Okay, so you were away from all this. You're having to come rushing back into the camp. There is a mist dwarf that is between you and where Mana and Tajo and Uolo are right now. So you're not going to be able to make it directly to her with a double move this turn without taking an attack of opportunity. You could charge up behind the mist dwarf and try and catch him by surprise. You probably got a split second before they notice you coming out of the jungle around the clearing.
All right. Bracklor, you can fly out and distract him, and I'll strike him in the face.
Prepare to be dazzled by my distraction.
Okay. So give me an attack roll, Sasha. You will have advantage from surprise. Bracklor is distracting them with his mere presence and carriage.
All right. An 11.
With advantage?
With advantage. It was sad.
Okay. But you trip on a vine, so you're coming out and go stumbling past nearly into the mist dwarf. And you actually bump into him from behind and then kind of stagger back and quickly get into a defensive position as you look up at the massive, at this point, almost 9 foot tall dwarf due to their enlarge. You'll get him next time, though. Ishka.
I fly into an excited and delighted rage, and I fly at the one nearest to Mana. I have no clever plans.
Okay.
I roll plenty. That's like 23 or something.
Okay, yeah.
And I use the battle axe in 2 hands. Oh, okay. Wow. Perfect. So that'll be a total of 14 damage.
Okay, you come up and... What are you going to do? As you bury the axe in the creature. So just reach up and chunk right into the side of its neck and throat. And it kind of grips and like falls to its knees. And as you wrench your battle axe free, you see it shrink down like back to its normal size as its shocked face gets even paler and it falls over in front of you.
Oh, I wish you had stayed. Well, tasteless joke here.
Okay, and I take it that's it, Ishka?
That is it, yeah.
Okay, next up are the Mist Dwarves. The other one that was facing off against you looks angered at the falling of its companion. No, Brom! And goes charging in toward Ishka. I roll a natural 1. Manages to, as it's going in, manages to slip on the blood on the ground from its companion and ends up falling like prone onto its rear. And as it gets up, it actually tries to lash out at you and finds its weapon was caught in some of the vines and basically disarms itself as it wrenches it out of its hand and finds itself empty-handed after attempting the blow. So it is standing, but it is now disarmed.
Don't feel bad. I'm new here too.
Okay. You hear more combat going on from around you, and Mana is taking cover behind her defenders, and in this case seems to be, you can see her actually kind of like standing behind and clinging to Uolo from where he'd been firing at the Mist Dwarves. Doesn't want to get caught in the spray and standing too close to Ishka. Tajo, you are up.
I say, Mona, I told you, stay behind me. And I'm going to give him just another Sacred Flame. Let's just go with Sacred Flame.
Okay.
It's gotta hit. It's gotta hit. Pray to the true God.
Yes.
The Sacred Flame curse maintains. I rolled a natural 20. As it fizzles.
I grab.
We don't like the light.
I like grab Mona's arm to like pull her behind me, and I take like a few 10 feet back away from them. And like,
grabbing her to bring her with you
Okay.
will take your action. You already used that to cast the spell. At this point, she's standing behind Uolo. But next turn, you can like grab her and basically grapple her and take her with you.
Yeah. So instead of that, then I'm just going to like basically, since Uolo is facing towards the ones we're facing, I'm gonna face the opposite way, so like I can cover her back. And like, yeah, so we're kind of like sandwiching her with safety.
Okay. Next up is Bracklor.
Before Bracklor acts, we have reached the end of our time. So I will give you one more round, and then we will have to finish
That's
it up.
fine.
So Bracklor, the airship, the flames, did they not take on the airship?
They seem to be combating the flames, so it's not like turned into an all-consuming blaze. A larger spell would probably be needed to do that.
Infernal thing. Very well, and I will then just fly up a little bit. Is there anyone anywhere near Ulo?
Other than there's Tajo, so Tajo and Uolo are almost standing back to back. Mana is standing between them at this point.
Correct.
And then Ishka is about probably 5 to 10 feet in front of them from where she just downed this other mist dwarf.
So is there another mist dwarf around?
There is another mist dwarf around that was going for your group. There's more in the jungle right now.
All right, that's fine. Yes, he is going to get another magic missile because that's the way Bracklor rolls on this island. He came in with big guns. Yeah.
Excellent.
This, Tajo, is where true power comes from. As he takes 4. I'm giving you the total now. 6, 7. No, he takes 8.
8
from the 3 spheres as they slide forward.
The spheres strike him, and you see him kind of flinch, though his large form is able to resist the damage for the most part. But still, it seemed to have injured him. He's not quite bloodied yet, but you're quickly wearing him down. Okay, and then Benson.
So Benson is going to duck out from where the cover that he was in and try and come up behind the last mist dwarf.
Okay.
And stab him in the butt.
You can definitely do that. So you can take a strike with advantage, and of course this will be a sneak attack if you succeed.
It's a 14.
You know what? I'm going to give it to you because he does not have his shield out because he was dropping in. So, actually, you know what? I'm going to cite page 242 of the DMG. Success at a cost and partial success. You only miss by 2, so you managed to stab him in the back, and I'll let you do the damage there, but there will be a consequence.
That's 5. 9 points of damage. Vincent dives out of the bush.
Okay.
Leans forward and just stab him in the butt.
You get him in a very sensitive area when you stab him from behind. We'll just leave it at that. As you see the large mist dwarf teeter, and then as he begins to fall forward, his footing shifts and he falls backwards on top of you, Benson. As you find yourself crushed, smothered beneath the large dwarf. You take 2 points of damage from getting crushed beneath the dwarf, and then it shrinks down to its normal size. still like splayed out on top of you, tongue lolling out, eyes rolled back, from your final fatal blow to it.
Help!
Okay, next up is Uolo. It would be best if my reign is uncontested. And you hear a cry from Mana that's quickly silenced, his hand over her mouth as he slides a blade into her and then quickly disappears into the darkness of the jungle as he starts making his way deeper in there. The mist
I
dwarf
immediately cast Spare the Dying on her to prevent her from losing her life.
And as Uolo disappears into the darkness, yes, you're able to cast Spare the Dying on her, causing the wounds to close and not bleed out entirely, but she's barely clinging to consciousness. It was a nearly fatal blow for her. It hurts, Tajo. As you're all taking this in, and you've barely saved her life, there's then a rumble that comes beneath all your feet. You're wondering, what is this now? And you realize what it is as the volcano begins to spew smoke, and you hear more cracking of stone and rumbling, and there's a sudden flare of light as fire shoots out of the top of the volcano from the caldera there, which has suddenly become active again. And the entire island seems to shake as if with the displeasure of the Duana, of the first ones themselves. There's another explosion that comes from the volcano, and a flash of light that comes from the caldera, a bright yellow, orange, gold light that washes over all of you. And you hear a cry from Uolo as this light washes over the landscape, seeming to engulf the entire island, perhaps even further. And when your eyes are clearing, you can see Mana still there in Tajo's arms, literally fading from sight as if she's disappearing, becoming invisible in front of you. Tajo, you can feel her weight disappearing in your arms, and your hands begin to move through her as she looks alarmed. What's happening? What's happening, Tajo? Tajo, I don't want this. I don't want this. What's happening?
I just give her a hug as it seems we're parting ways.
As you try to hug her, your arms go through her. She just disappears, and there's nothing but air left. And it seems that she, and as you would soon discover, Uolo and all of the heirs have disappeared in whatever cataclysm this is. Even as the island rumbles, as the volcano awakens with the anger of the Duana, there's another crashing sound as the mist dwarves are still harrying all of the honor guard around you, and you see the jungle literally just falling before some massive force that's moving through it, as a giant lobster made out of plates of coral comes crashing in, sweeping a tail that's knocking over trees every which way, and a few of the mist dwarves and even some of the honor guard out of the way as it comes to a skidding stop in front of your group. And then a side panel on it opens up, and inside you see Captain Makeba, the one who hired Vinny in the first place, the auntie that Mana had spoken about, a large gift woman decked out like a pirate, and she is known as the land pirate. She shouts, "There is no time to explain! All of you have to get in now!"
I just look around to see if I can get one last look for Mona before running in.
Okay, and that is where we will leave it off.
There you go. There you go. All right.
Snaps all around.
There you are. All right, so 10 minutes overtime. So there is that, but nonetheless engaging and very exciting. Thank you, Spike. So whilst the players are giving the scores to the GM, they're going to be entering those scores, I'm going to take you through a video on what those scores possibly mean and where they come from. So check this out. We'll be back with the scores after this. We all use NPCs in our game, but are they being used correctly? That's the next section in the NPCs category of the Training Grounds scorecard. Using NPCs correctly is not about abusing the NPCs. They're most likely going to die in some horrific way anyway. I mean, that's really why we have NPCs, yes? No, absolutely not. NPCs fulfill a multitude of functions, which I've spoken about on our YouTube channel, such as the mentor NPC, or the cheerleader NPC, or the guide NPC, or the love interest NPC. NPCs have a myriad of uses within our game to help us with all kinds of things, such as pacing, plotting, twists, all kinds of things are entangled into how we use our NPCs. Is the GM in tonight's game, or in your game, are you, as the GM I should say, are you using your NPCs correctly, or are you letting them go to waste? Not everyone can have an amazing repertoire of vocal gymnastics. So when we talk about the impersonations section of the NPC scorecard, we're not looking to see whether you can do a lot of amazing different accents and shift them up at the drop of a hat so that you are changing all over the place. We don't really care what you do with your voice or your mouth, whether, of course, you can sound deep and subtle or high and mighty. We really don't care. What we are more interested in is when you are presenting us with an NPC who has a certain mannerism, whether it's bent over, crooked and old, or young and sprightly and all over the place. Whatever it might be, however you do your impersonation, it could be by describing them. They're young and plucky and their eyes sparkle with youthful enthusiasm. Or if you try and actually perform the role, that doesn't matter. Are your impersonations, however, suitably different enough from each of the other NPCs that we're likely to meet in your world that we can start to identify the NPCs based on those impersonations, or the descriptions, or the characterizations that you've built into your NPC, or not? It's no good having some kind of weird accent that nobody knows who belongs to who, but that's very clearly that accent belongs to Keith. I thought Walter sounded like that. Well, he does too, because I can only do one other accent. That's not a great place to start. You want your NPCs to be unique, so they should be in every category that we look at in the GM scorecard. In the table management category of the Training Grounds scorecard, you'll see the first section is controlled environment. Now, this is not talking about you having a control over your environment. What happens, happens. But it's a control over the players at your table. You as the GM are responsible for allocating equal time to each and every single player, for stopping players who are domineering the table, and for encouraging players who are perhaps a little bit more reserved or shy, for example. The entire idea behind controlling your table is making sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to have fun. And why not? That is the point of this hobby, after all. Going hand in hand with a controlled environment is the section Equality of Time under the table management category on the scorecard. Making sure that every player and PC has the same amount of time to respond is critical. There are certain classes that might require the PC and the player to have more prep in terms of deciding what they're doing, but that doesn't mean that it should be fair that they get to take 10 minutes to decide on their turn what they're doing, whereas somebody else takes 30 seconds. It's equally not fair to say to the person who takes 30 seconds because they know the rules very well, it's not fair for them to complain when someone who's new to the game takes maybe a minute to respond, or less depending on the situation. It is up to you as the GM to make sure that the time allocated to each player and to each of their characters is equitable and fair, and that each of them has an opportunity to monologue against the villain or to take an action that's cool. Make sure, though, that not one of them who's perhaps more descriptive or charismatic starts to have more opportunity to engage because they're more entertaining to watch. You have to make sure that every player and PC gets the time that they want. Some players don't want the limelight. They want to be in the background. You have to read that as well and make sure that you're not then demanding that they come to the fore because that's not what they want. That is a fine balance that only the best GMs know how to handle. A very subjective section under table management is sensitivity. When we're talking about sensitivity, it is across a range of things. Sensitivity towards people's phobias, to trigger words, to certain behaviors. All tables will have some kind of house rule with regards to flirtation and to seduction, as well as everything that usually goes along with that. Being sensitive to your table and to yourself is absolutely important. You don't want to offend anybody, and at the same time you want to make sure that everyone is allowing everybody else the equal opportunity to express themselves in ways that bring joy to the table. How you set the tone for that is very important, and what type of table you have is, of course, entirely up to you. So you set that at the very beginning and make sure to maintain it throughout the duration of your entire game. Here we're only watching one or two opportunities with the same GM to see how they handle that sensitivity, and so it can be difficult to judge on a short-term basis. It's entirely up to you, however, to judge yourself on whether you are open and sensitive towards others around you or not, and if so, is that something that you need to look at or to find similar people of the same mind frame? Either way. Okay, we are back, and we have the scores. Sorry for the little bit of a delay. I was suffering from techno failure as usual. Anyway, we are back, and we're going to reveal the scores now. So if you do have a question, please put the word question in caps lock in front of your question, and that way I can then pose it to Spike or the team. Spike, how do you feel the session went? Better or how, talk to us.
I think this went better than last time. I certainly wasn't expecting all the marriage proposals.
Yes,
that was a whole element I had not planned for, but was very happy for. So, and that was entirely you guys. So, I felt like I did not try to cram in as much and left more time for you guys to kind of dictate where the story was going. And I had my Chekhov's gun, the volcano. So no matter what happened, once we got to the end, it's like, okay, volcano erupts. Bright flash, big mystery, and then a gift shows up, a mechanical lobster, and says, "Get in, there's no time to explain."
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Nobody expects a mechanical lobster.
Exactly, right? Nobody expects a mechanical lobster. Okay, here are the scores, and I'm going to show you first. These are your old scores from last week. And the goal was to improve scores that were maybe down a little bit. And you feel you had a better session, and your players agree with you. Your scores have improved in the areas where there was less focus before, and they've improved in areas where you had already had high scores. So your rules knowledge is without peer. So it really is good. It's everyone, as you can see, good scores there. I mean, normally I choose the low scores to go through, right? But there are not a lot here. Pace, one of them, yes, we know. But again, marriage proposals. Who the hell knows what to do with marriage proposals? And the like. I think definitely a lot better. 90 minutes is almost impossible to run a any kind of major story in. I mean, Laura, you've been there as well as GM on the show, so 90 minutes is really, really short.
Yeah.
For that, your engagement was high. The NPCs always a strong point for you. So yes, overall, I think absolute well done in terms of doing a definite improvement. Chat is saying exactly the same thing. They're saying most improved, great improvement to last time. Lots of fun was had by chat from what I could see. People really enjoyed stuff. Lots of clapping going on as well. So Spike, there we go. Thank you for playing. Now, unfortunately, we have run out of time. Normally, I'd kind of do a bit of a recap with players, saying what would you want more of. I think we would all want more of this adventure. This was a super cool adventure.
Just more. That's what I want more of. Is just more.
Yeah, I could have.
I just want to know where the mechanical lobster, like how that fits in.
Well, that's Captain McCabe's. She's a land pirate.
Your world lore is spot on.
Yes,
you just take whatever is in D&D and then you subvert expectations. But I'm glad everyone had fun. If you have more questions, go to the How to Be a Great GM Discord. There is a training ground section there, or you can go to the Green Dragon chat or whatever, but the general chat. I'm in there. Please feel free to ask whatever you want.
There we go.
I hope everyone had a great time. And I don't know, maybe we'll talk about this on Adam's podcast Inspiration Point.
Maybe.
Hey.
Also, Taja would like to say happy birthday to good friend Aaron.
There we go. Happy birthday, Aaron. Whoever you are, have a great day. Or a happy birthday, nonetheless. To all of my players, Adam for stepping in, and Laura as well for joining on such short notice. Big thank you to both of you. Caleb, thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again. Elijah, the second time around, always a pleasure. I hope you had fun. And
I did.
Spike, thank you so much for your contributions, and we'll see you around, I'm sure. And to all of you for watching, a big thank you for all of your comments and for the chat, looking in and focusing on things. As Spike said, discord.gg/greatgm is where you can find the chatter. And yes, we will see you all again next week when a new GM steps into the training grounds. Until then, however, I wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming.